He almost didn't stop that night. The rain was coming down in sheets. His little girl was asleep in the back seat, and all he wanted was to get home before the old truck gave up on him again. But then he saw her, standing on the side of the road, barefoot, her white dress torn and soaked. Mascara streaked down her cheeks like rivers of heartbreak. For a moment, she looked like a ghost, someone lost between two worlds. And when she turned her face toward his headlights, he realized this wasn't just any woman. This was someone running from something much bigger than the storm. Jake Lawson was a single dad, 36, exhausted, and just barely keeping his life stitched together after losing his wife 3 years ago. His daughter Emma was all he had left, and every decision he made revolved around keeping her safe. So when he pulled over and the stranger hesitated in the downpour, something deep inside him whispered, "Don't get involved." But when she finally whispered, trembling, "Please, I just need to get away," he unlocked the door. The woman climbed in, shivering, clutching what was left of her torn wedding dress. The scent of roses and rain filled the small cab. Emma stirred in the back seat, rubbing her eyes. "Daddy, who's that?" Jake forced a small smile. "Just someone who needs a ride, sweetheart." He didn't know it yet, but that moment, one small act of kindness on a rainy highway, would unravel everything he thought he knew about fate. By the time the storm eased, she hadn't said her name, just sat quietly, staring out the window like she was afraid the world might catch up. Jake finally spoke, his voice low, cautious. "You from around here?" She shook her head. "Not anymore." The truck rattled over a puddle. "Where you headed?" "Anywhere but back," she said, voice cracking. He glanced sideways. Mud clung to her once, white gown, pearls missing from the bodice, makeup ruined. Yet beneath the wreckage, there was something haunting. Grace mixed with defiance, like someone who had just walked away from a life most people would kill to have. "You look like you've been through hell," he muttered before he could stop himself. She gave a small, broken laugh. "Try running from your own wedding with cameras chasing you." Jake blinked. "Wait, you're that bride? The one from the news? The millionaire's fiancé?" Her silence said everything. "Yeah," she finally breathed, "that's me. The woman who ran out on the man who could buy anything, except honesty." The words hung in the air like smoke. Jake didn't press. He just drove, letting the night swallow their secrets. But as miles passed, he couldn't help glancing at her again. Her fingers trembled as she held the edge of her soaked dress, and for a split second, he saw something familiar. Fear. Not the kind that comes from danger, but from being trapped. They reached his small town near midnight. The diner was dark, and the only light came from a flickering neon sign across the street. He parked outside his modest home, a little two-bedroom place that always smelled faintly of crayons and engine oil. "You can stay here tonight," he said quietly. "It's not much, but it's safe." Oh, she hesitated. "Why are you helping me?" Jake shrugged. "Maybe because someone once helped me when I was the one falling apart." That night, as she sat wrapped in one of his late wife's old blankets, Emma tiptoed in with her favorite stuffed beer. "You look sad," she said softly. "You can sleep with Mr. Bear if you want. He helps with bad dreams." Tears filled the woman's eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. For the first time in a long while, someone wasn't asking what she could give, but simply offering kindness. The next morning, sunlight spilled through the curtains, and with it came a strange calm. Jake brewed coffee, still unsure if he'd done the right thing. When she walked into the kitchen wearing one of his old flannel shirts, he caught himself smiling. "So runaway bride, huh? Got a name to go with the scandal?" "Clara," she said, meeting his eyes. "Clara Whitmore." The name echoed through his mind. Everyone in town knew the Whitmores, the powerful family who owned half the state's land and most of its headlines. "You really walked out on doubters that Whitmore wedding?" She nodded. "Because the man I was marrying didn't love me. He wanted a trophy, not a wife. And I couldn't spend my life pretending to be perfect for someone who didn't even see me." Jake didn't say anything. He just handed her a mug of coffee, his own hands rough and calloused from years of fixing cars. "You know," he finally said, "sometimes the hardest thing isn't leaving someone, it's staying gone." As she looked up, startled by how much truth lived behind his tired smile. "You sound like you've done it before." "I have," he said simply. "Lost my wife to cancer 3 years ago. She told me before she went that life's too short to live it halfway." They sat in silence for a long time, two strangers bound by loss, hers of freedom, his of love. And yet, in that quiet kitchen, something began to heal. Days turned into a week. Clara stayed, helping around the house, reading to Emma, and laughing again for the first time since she'd fled her old life. But peace never lasts forever. One morning, Jake noticed a sleek black car parked near the corner. Men in suits asking questions. "Looks like your past found you," he said grimly. Clara's face went pale. "If they find me, I'll be dragged back. My father will make me marry him just to save face." Jake clenched his jaw. "Not if I can help it." That night, the same storm that had brought her into his life returned. They packed what little she had, and with Emma fast asleep in the truck again, Jake drove into the darkness once more. Clara watched the rearview mirror, trembling. "You could get in trouble for this," she whispered. Jake smiled faintly. "Maybe. But sometimes the right thing isn't the safe thing." They here 2 hours later. They stopped at a quiet gas station on the edge of another county. Clara took a deep breath, the kind that tastes like freedom. "What will you tell your daughter when I'm gone?" she asked. Jake thought for a moment. "That sometimes people come into our lives like storms, messy, unexpected, but they leave everything cleaner than before." Her eyes shimmered. "You've done more for me than anyone ever has." He shook his head. "No, Clara. You did it yourself. You just needed someone to remind you that you could." They said goodbye under the flicker of the gas station lights, rain still whispering against the pavement. She turned one last time, barefoot again, her torn wedding dress now tied into a makeshift bundle. "Maybe one day, when I've built my life back, I'll come find you." Jake smiled softly. "You won't have to. I'll see you in every sunrise that reminds me why I stopped that night." As she disappeared into the dawn, Emma's sleepy voice rose from the back seat. "Daddy, where's the princess?" Jake started the engine, eyes misty. "She went to find her castle, sweetheart. But she left a bit of her heart right here with us." And somewhere far down that empty road, a runaway bride walked barefoot toward her freedom. Proof that sometimes the people we save end up saving us right back.